The last directive I have time to show you in detail is the ng-include directive. ng-include is useful for a number of scenarios because ng-include can bring in HTML from another source, like another file, and then you can use that HTML in the current view. This is useful because you can break up a complex page into pieces. It's also useful if you have some markup that you can reuse in other views of the application. For example, perhaps the user details that we are displaying, the user's name, the gravatar, the list of repositories, perhaps we can use that in other areas of the application. In that case, I want to ng-include this markup. And then what I would do is take all the markup that is being used to display details about the user, and I will cut it out of this index view. And now let me create a new file, userdetails.html. And I will paste all that markup into this file and do a little beautifying just to make sure all the indentation is correct. And now I just need to ng-include this view. But before I do that, I'm going to take out the ng shows that we just added because I'm going to add them on the element where I ng-include this markup. So in index.html, I'm going to create a div, and this div will have two directives on it. The first directive is ng-include, and this is where I can specify an expression, and that expression can be resolved against scope, and the value that the expression yields should be the location where Angular can go and grab the additional markup. Now, because I know exactly where this markup is coming from, I'm going to use this single quote trick again to tell Angular, I'm giving you a string literal, please use this value. Don't try to evaluate it against scope. Instead, just go grab userdetails.html and bring it in and include it right here. And I'm also going to add just one ng show now, one ng show for user. So if we have a user object on the scope, that expression evaluates to truthy, and then we should be able to show all the details on the page. Let's go back to the preview window and see if this works. I'll search for Angular, and I can see that my user details markup was included, and that the ng show is still working, and allowing this to display once we have user information on the model. Notice how this included markup is just fitting in and working against the existing main controller. I didn't need to change any of the bindings or expressions in the included view. It just works if you want to include some additional markup inside of an area that is already the responsibility of a controller.